Hey, Sean, I made a mistake with a production recently and I had to mess with masks, and I was relieved that I was able to fix the problem, but I realized how it could actually be helpful moving forward doing some of these kind of films, and that is masking out the boom pole or anything else you want to mask out, but I'm specifically talking about the boom pole. The situation that I was in, someone who was operating the boom was an idiot, and the camera was on a tripod, thankfully, and the idiot kept dipping the boom into the shot a little bit. They weren't aware of the frame, they weren't really paying attention, and so the boom kept dipping in. Sure, that idiot was me, but that's not the point, because this came up in another situation where I was miking two people, one of whom, the taller of whom, was wearing a lav, and the shorter of whom, it was a kid, and the kid was talking so quietly, we had to bring the boom in really low, and we were shooting in 4K, and I was thinking, like, well, we can crop in and crop out the boom, but due to the height difference, I sketched a thing to protect the identity of the children. Due to the height difference, there would have been no way to crop the boom out without also cropping the face of the other person. And so what I ended up doing, and I got sort of lucky because the camera's on a tripod and the background didn't move, but I used a mask, and I want to show you how a mask works if you haven't used one before, and how to actually use one to patch a mistake, because there's one extra step other than just masking something. And so what we're going to do in the software is this. We're going to take our frame that has the boom pole in it, and we're going to make sure we have another frame where the area that the boom pole is in, the boom pole is out. So we want to make sure we've got a clean frame from somewhere else in the video, but we're essentially going to take a mask and cut out the boom pole. So we're going to cut out the boom pole, and when we do this in our software, this is probably just going to be black because there's nothing behind it. We've just masked out the boom. But what we want to do is behind this frame, put a frame of the video earlier where the boom isn't in it, and you can see it should be a seamless little match where the boom is out of the shot, and we're showing a background from earlier where the boom was, and anything can happen in this space in the actual frame because it's masked out, it's cut out completely. And so I'm going to walk through how to do this really quickly in Final Cut, but it's really simple in other editing softwares too, so don't be afraid to give it a shot. I'm going to walk through an example where some idiot messed up and put the boom in the shot. And so if we look at this little clip here, where, yeah, it's subtle, but you can see right up here the boom is dipping into the shot a little bit, and as it floats around there, oh, be quiet, sir. As it floats around there, we can see it's just causing problems. It's bothering me in the shot. And in this example, I could just crop in on the 4K a little bit, and I do. And the way I like to edit these 4K single shots in Final Cut is I create a multi-cut. I create a multicam clip, so here called JSON Multi, and if I come in here, I have a wide and a tight. So I just duplicate the clip, and on one of the channels I zoom in. And then it's really easy, rather than like applying those zoom settings to every other clip as I make my edits, in my timeline I can just press 1 and 2 and cut back and forth as though they are two separate cameras, when really it's the same camera. And so I'm going to take the wide, and I'm going to make it a compound click by making a compound click, and I already did this, and I called the compound clip hide the mic. And when I come into the compound clip, you'll see here is the section of video, and ignore this little piece below it, that's what we're going to talk about. But from here to here, this is where the boom dips into the shot. You can see it at the top of the frame there. Let me click in there. You can see it in the top of the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to my masks, and I actually already did this, but for the sake of fun, I'm going to reset this. I'm just going to delete this whole thing there. So I'm going to come to this little section where that mic is in the shot. I'm going to select it. In my effects, I'm going to go to masks, and I'm going to click draw mask. And when I apply that to this little section, I'm going to see it says on my screen, click to add a control point. And I can click out of frame or in frame. So I'm going to click out of frame, start there, and just sort of cut out this whole section here where that boom is going to dip into the shot. And when I close it, you'll see this is the thing that it's masking. And so I'm going to invert the mask so it actually gets rid of that. And there's that black space I was talking about, that's sort of the void of where that once was. And then I'm going to actually feather it a little bit. So if something moves slightly, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then behind this, what I'm going to do, and what I already did in that little shot, is I'm going to find a frame like this that just has nothing going on in it. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to paste it at the end of my timeline for fun. And if you haven't done this before, I'm going to press Shift-H. And what that does, if we zoom in here, is it puts a hold on this frame. And so I'm going to cut this away with a little blade tool, and I'll just get rid of that. Get rid of that. And where's my speed? And then I'm going to use the blade tool again and cut the rest of this. So now I just have this frozen frame from pressing Control H, and I can extend this hold and fill as much space with this frame as I'd like, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this frame, and you'll notice in this frame there is no boom, and I'm just going to drag this behind the place where there was the boom. And you can see there's that black space, and instead now it's got a little frame. Whoops. Now it's got a little frame behind it where there was no boom. As you can see, everything else remains the same. And what's happening is if I get rid of the active clip, I'm going to make this invisible, you'll see there's that frozen face clip of Jason. But when I enable it, it's him moving, but with that frame behind him, which is just a frozen frame of where it's clean in that area where the boom was. So I'm cutting that out, and I'm just putting something behind it. That's what it should look like when the boom isn't in the shot. So this happened again that I was filming, and I ended up having to put the boom in the frame, but I realized that I could mask it out and replace it with a clean frame where it wasn't in the shot, and solved all of my problems, where I was able to have the mic right in these kids' faces, and I just lifted it out as soon as they were done talking, and then I was able to use one of those frames to fill in the blanks from all the frames that it was in the shot. So quick, easy tip to fix mistakes or to create opportunities that didn't exist before. I hope it's helpful because I got lucky and it saved me, and hopefully it's something that can help you. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.